Hey crew, I've got the key to this Aston Martin DB12 Volante, and today we're going to see what it's like to live with. Starting with the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long. I've got the DB12 parked about 6 inches from the edge on this side, sitting next to a new Hyundai Santa Fe that my wife is reviewing. If you want to check out her content, it's at Mobile Mama on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. She's got that parked just about an inch from the edge. Nice parking job, honey. And with that spacing, there's plenty of room to walk between the two vehicles, and both of them have power folding door mirrors. That helps. Though if I wanted to get our double stroller through for our kids, I would need the Aston just a couple inches that direction. The nose of the vehicle is right there at the beginning of my driveway, and that leaves plenty of room at the back to walk behind and in front of the hedge on my way to the front door. To get inside the DB12 with the key fob in my pocket, I just push my finger on this portion of the door handle. That will unfold the door mirrors, unlock the doors, and then I can swing this door just as far as I want to because it'll pause wherever I stop it right there just before touching the Santa Fe. That's a really wide opening here. Though with the top up, I do need to crouch down quite a bit, first sitting on the sill, then craning my neck, and then scooting over. That's a pretty wide shelf there though, so that makes it pretty easy. To close the door, I do have to firmly shut it because even on this $335,000 as tested vehicle, there isn't a soft close function as standard. You have to pay extra for that. Hey cabin crew, thanks for joining for this day in the life in the Aston Martin DB12 Volante. Now in this video, I want to see if a convertible version of a Grand Tour such as this is better than a coupe version, and in what ways? I'll begin by showing you something that admittedly will be the same between coupe and convertible. That's where I've stashed items that I brought with me. So my GoPro accessories, which are of decent size, do fit nicely in this door pocket, though I can't swing that out too much or they will slide out. I've got my smartphone on this hidden wireless charging pad under the console, and then in the console, I do have a standard single-use water bottle. I could not fit my large water bottle anywhere in this cabin, so that's just sitting there. I've got my wallet and my sunglasses, and the outside of that console is felt lined, so I'm not going to scratch the lenses there. Now, let me fire up this DB12 Volante. Hello to you, twin-turbo V8. Now let's hear that idle from outside the vehicle. So the door handle is just this tiny little thing nestled in right there. Oh, what a sweet melody. The throaty V8. It's actually not that loud. Now it's deep, so it might reverberate to my neighbors nearby, but I don't think anyone's gonna be too upset by that startup noise. Okay, as I get going here, once again, this is a lot of money for a car, and I feel like things like automatic seat heating or ventilation should be part of the equation, and yet it's indicated to be 65 degrees Fahrenheit outside the vehicle, while the climate inside is set for 70, yet no seat heating has been triggered on automatically. I'd have to do that manually, and I do have 3 levels of that, and this is kind of cool. I can do the seat ventilation at the same time. Why would you ever want to do that, Miles? Well, just think about it. You've got a cool breeze on your bottom, and yet your back is being heated just to the perfect temperature. It's just kind of a great recipe, but again, should be done automatically in this car. The next thing I'm going to do is configure the drive mode and make sure I'm in the right one. There's a GT, a Sport, and a Sport Plus, but I'm not going to choose any of those. No, I want the individual mode because here I can customize and set the throttle response, the exhaust level, the start-stop system, the steering response and heft, and the suspension firmness. I've got the suspension as soft as possible, and yet I got a little extra punch from the throttle response here. And now I'm going to go down into drive. The parking brake over here has been disengaged. Now I'm going to roll forward. There isn't a front end lift system on the DB12 Volante, and I think there really should be, again, for this kind of money. But because I have the curb ramps there, I'm not too worried about the clearance of the low lip. But can I clear the trash cans? Yes, and I do have that front facing camera to make sure of it. Today's first task will be to get a cup of coffee, but on my way there, I want to talk through some of the things you'll interact with most often in the DB12, like the turn signal. And the stock for that has been pulled straight out of some Mercedes-Benz, and so it's therefore more plasticky than I think befits this caliber of car. But the action is nice. And what about the sound of the signal? Oh, I like that. It's rhythmic, as most signals are, but it's got a sultry tone to it. And the turning radius for a U-turn now is okay. Without a rear-wheel steering system in this DB12, it's wider than some of its competitors, but I think only in tighter spaces would you really mind. And now what if someone cuts me off in this DB12 and I have to go to the horn? What's that going to sound like? Woof! Well, it's loud enough, but it's also a crass sound. As for throttle response, in the individual mode with that sport calibration, it's perky enough. Gets me up to speed quick. I mean, there's 671 horsepower, but it's not so aggressive in that response, so I can gracefully make my way up to speed. And what about the ride quality? That is not a perfect road surface, and I know that more than visually because I can feel a lot of those bumps and corrections of the road in through my seat, more so than I think most GT cars. Now, being on 21-inch wheels and low-profile tires, that doesn't help. But on the flip side, the seats are extremely comfortable. They just hold me perfectly in place. They have quite a bit of adjustability. I've got good thigh support, good lumbar. The leather is supple. Padding is too. And I've got good space in this cabin. Even at 6 feet tall with the top up, I still have inches above my head. I feel like there's room to operate here. Lots of tilt and telescope to the wheel. Easy to direct the car down the road. Good feedback through that wheel as well. And now as I go to the brake, hear those downshifts. I feel some of those changes as well, but the braking is still smooth. At last, it's time for coffee, and I felt the drive-through experience was necessary to demonstrate one of the advantages of a convertible Grand Tourer over a coupe, because this is the coupe experience. There isn't obviously a top that can go down, it's just a fixed roof, so the way you would access something given to you at a drive-through is just through this window here, but in a convertible, one that stows in just 16 seconds, I have all of this room to reach up and grab whatever I order.
Hi, thanks for choosing Starbucks. Can I get started for you today?
Hi there, may I please have a decaf iced latte in the grande size? Yeah, I'm ordering a decaf latte because caffeine and I, we don't get along. It's like it hates me, and I don't know why. As I pause here momentarily in the drive-thru, I want to point out the lack of an auto hold function in the DB12. That would allow me to take my foot off the brake, not have to engage park, to just kind of rest for a minute. But alas, I have to hold my foot on the brake. It's so difficult. However, one thing you do have in the DB12 that I showed briefly was the surround view camera system, so I can make sure I've got that top view and then I've got the side views. I can make sure that I am not going to get too close on either side to the curbing there. Gotta keep these precious 21-inch wheels safe. And here we are. Hello. Yes, please. Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
You too. See what I mean? So much easier than a coupe. And having a top that folds isn't just a great way to get stuff at a drive-thru, it's also the best way to experience the DB12's twin-turbo V8. In addition to the thrust, you're getting the full effect of that V8 theater. What a noise! What momentum! My goodness! acceleration's brutal. And now to use the paddles in manual mode. Ooh, the speed of the shifts are good. The feel of the paddles, the engagement. This is a monstrously fast car, and the wind gust tells me so. Not mad at it. Thrilled by it! Yeah, it may ride a little firmer than your average GT car, but your average GT car doesn't have overrun and punch like this. And after you've gotten going very quickly, there are some excellent carbon ceramic brakes to slow you back down. And some fantastic handling to match. Wow, this thing can take the corners. It's still pretty heavy, but it can control its body admirably. But you won't have a canyon to carve up every day. What you will have is a stoplight or some other real world situation to test the 0 to 60 of your DB12 Volante. So I've got my race box set up here to record this run. I can activate launch control, holding my foot on the brake, pinning the throttle, building up the revs, and letting it go. And there's 60 in 3.5 seconds. Any quicker and it would rip my shirt off with the acceleration. Then the car wouldn't be the only thing that's topless. Okay, I think it's time to bring the pace back down before I collect Mobile Mama for a bit of lunch. Welcome, my dear. Aren't you a sight for sore eyes? Are you appreciating the breeze that we don't have right now?
It feels
we're coming
great.
to a stop?
This is a perfect day for a convertible top.
Yes, it is. It's not too hot outside. Now it's 69 degrees. Couldn't be any better. Well, actually, 70 right on the nose would be perfect.
And that's why we pay a lot to live in California.
We do. We pay too much.
But I am sad that I don't get to experience the warm hands, warm feet,
You can have warm feet.
cabin experience.
If it was cooler,
in the snow, that would be fun.
Yeah, but it's rear drive, this car, so I don't think you'd want to be in the snow in this car. But how you feel about the seats? That's my big question.
You know I love Aston Martins.
A lot of people do.
I mean, it's a gorgeous color. Like,
oh, you like the color? I was going to ask about that. The
I
seafoam green, they call it a Caribbean something.
Oh, I'm extending out. Like, this is so comfy. What is going on? What
I don't know.
the heck? I didn't even know you could do this.
Yeah.
Is this allowed? Can we go for a longer drive?
No, because you don't have time, because I have to film you after this.
Yeah, we have to put...
This is our lives. This is the real world of our lives. I got to film you after you film with me. Yeah, but the seats are comfortable, no?
So comfy.
Yeah.
What else do they do? Is there a massage?
No massage.
Oh.
Heating and ventilation, no massage.
Okay, that's...
For 330, well, it starts at 320-ish.
I figured this was...
You get this nice open pore wood, though. How do you feel about the ride?
I think it's kind of lacking in that department. I thought you were saying, like, compared to, like, a supercar or something.
No, compared to a supercar, yeah, it's velvety, but it's a little bit jostly for a grand tour.
There's some vibration on the booty, but it's not terrible.
Oh, that's your massage.
Free of charge. Feel the road. Vibrate your buns.
Now, what would you like for your not free of charge meal? What should we eat?
Just a light fish meal.
You thinking fish?
Yeah.
I'm also
pescado.
thinking fish. But I'm thinking
I want
fish.
some pescado.
Okay.
Or as they
Maybe
say
you
in
shouldn't
Spain,
get fish.
pescado. Get a pescado?
I was also thinking fish, but I was thinking fish because it's like, I don't know, open air breeze makes you think of the ocean, and then I'm like, what do you get at the ocean? You get fish. You eat fish. You spirit yourself, and then you cook it over the fire. We're not going to do that, but we should get fish.
You've never done that in
I've
your
never,
life.
never in my life. That's accurate. Never.
Nor would an Aston Martin owner do that.
That's fair. Fair. But an Aston Martin owner would eat some fancy fish. So let's go eat some more pedestrian priced fish. Because we don't own this Aston Martin.
We don't?
And here we are. Pacific Catch.
The perfect
spearfish.
No.
No.
The perfect cast from Goofy.
I can't keep up with you, babe, honestly. Definitely, I don't want to keep up with you. Well. I mean, that's like a good portion of food. I got the double protein on my Hawaiian poke bowl, and this is
necessary?
Now that I'm looking at it, no. Typically, yes, but this is kind of out of control. Are you ready? let's dive in. That was an aggressive amount of food.
So much.
You borrowed the DB12 briefly while I was
Yes.
ordering the food.
I just ran to Target real quick.
And you had thoughts about what it
Yes.
was like to drive.
I wanted to love it, but I mean, I do love it, but it was difficult to see out the back. Like, they're huge blind spots.
With the top
on.
Yeah.
I love it with the top off.
With the top on, yeah, there are blind spots. I mean, first of all, trying to see out the rear view, there's just like this little slit. You can see that there are cars there, but you have no idea how close they are or even what the vehicles are exactly. And then right here over your shoulder, the headrest is blocking the side window, and then with the top up, there's that just giant blind spot there. You do have blind spot monitoring, and the door mirrors are actually pretty big for a sports car like this, but that's not the only issue. It's like the hood is raised up, so it's hard to tell where the front of the vehicle is unless you have that camera going. It could be an issue to see out of with the top up. All the more reason to just live life as much as possible with the top down. No blind spots now, just some great views.
Keep your eyes on the road.
It's a new day with the DB12, and I've got a couple errands to run. First, it's off to the post office, and then to the grocery store. And each time I restart the DB12, I proceed down the road for approximately 30 seconds before I'm reminded of a feature that I need to turn off, and that's the one you just heard, the speed limit warning. It's something that you go into the infotainment system, you go to Assistance, and you scroll down here to Traffic Sign Assist, and then you choose either visual and audible, visual, or off. And even if you switch it off, if you turn off the vehicle, you turn it back on, it's right back on with the visual and audible warning. And if you're even over 1 mile per hour, it's gonna chime at you, and it will do so every time the speed limit changes. And we have arrived at the post office. Let's go buy some stamps. And there we are. Freedom flags in my British Grand Tour. Off to groceries. And the first of 2 grocery stops will be here at Trader Joe's. I've got 2 lightly loaded bags from TJ's, and so we're gonna see how they fit in the trunk of the DB12 Volante. And there is no kick sensor or anything more convenient. That's it. It just releases, doesn't pop up. It's not a power opening trunk. Oh boy, all right. And this is the storage space that I have to work with. Just working around this wind deflector. And I do think that's gonna be fine for this shopping trip, but see how we do with the second one at Sprouts. As it turns out, we just got 1 more bag to add to the trunk, but given the limited space, even that's kind of a problem because I got chips here and I definitely don't want those crushed. What can we do? Kind of angled like that. It does have a soft close, but why not a power opening close? Whatever, it fits a small double grocery trip. It's turning into another gorgeous day, and I'm not gonna let this one pass me by without taking the convertible version of this DB12 to where it can shine. I'm gonna go to the beach, and on my way there, we can talk about what it's like to drive on the highway. So first, let's listen to the cabin volume. I'm gonna quiet up for a second. Now, typically, fabric top versions of convertibles are much louder than an equivalent hardtop convertible or, of course, a coupe. But this fabric top in the DB12 Volante is 8 layers thick. So, it's really very modest, the volume in here. The wind noise is kept low. The tire noise is a factor. I hear a decent amount of that coming into the cabin. But the rest of the road noise isn't a whole lot louder than most coupe GT cars, and that's really impressive. And that's just if I'm listening to nothing, which is not going to be typical. You probably want to listen to music, so let's do that now. And there is a wireless CarPlay system with this new infotainment that is designed by Aston Martin as opposed to being borrowed from Mercedes-Benz, like the turn signal stock. So let's cue something up. Like that there's a volume dial here. Not having to touch the screen. Okay. Yeah, that's quite good. It's completely blocking out the rest of the noise that was making its way into the cabin, and the sound was clear. This is a 9-speaker sound system. You can upgrade to a Bowers & Wilkins 15-speaker unit for a lot more money, but I don't think you need to. That's a really quality sound system. And now I am experiencing some stop and go, so I'm gonna activate the adaptive cruise control system and see how that works. There is also a highway assist system, in theory, that would keep you centered in the lane, but even though I go to the assistance setting and try to activate the highway assist, it doesn't want to work. And I've played with all the different settings. I've been stopped, I've had the vehicle turned off, turned back on. That doesn't want to work. So instead, I'm just going to use the lane keep assist, and we'll see that it does bring me back into the lane, but it's then going to move over to the left side if the road will curve. It's not going to do the centering stuff. But supposedly that is equipped with this vehicle, and so having the adaptive cruise to let me take my foot off the brake and throttle, and having the highway assist to reduce some of the fatigue of centering myself in the lane, that'll really help if you're using the DB12 as a commuter. But it looks like my commute's over because I spy some ocean yonder, and that means it's time to drop this top, which I can do. It speeds up to 31 miles per hour, so as I slow, I can start the process. Now, of course, I have to keep it under 31 until it's done. There we go. Up come the windows, and there's that sunshine. This is a convertible in its natural environment. And at these speeds, there's wind buffeting for sure. I feel it down here even by my hands, not just up by the top of my head. We saw yesterday Christina's hair going all over the place in the passenger seat. So there is another way to reduce that, but I will need to stop, go into the trunk, and pull out that wind deflector. After retrieving the case from the trunk and retrieving the deflector, I've got some install instructions stitched here so I don't lose them, and that seems pretty easy. Just gonna unfold this, connect that, line up the tabs with the seat belt inlets, and then come to each side to connect those pieces, and it's done. That was really easy. I don't expect owners to do that every time they lower the lid, but at least the process is straightforward. And you may not want to keep this in the trunk at all times because that cargo space is precious. That's more like it. The turbulent moving air now stays just at the top of my head, not down here inside the cabin. And look at these views. Well, I've done smarter things in my life, but the GoPro is pretty much okay. So, onward. And it's back to relaxing, where I can enjoy the views from down here. Look, I'm all about coupe versions of track cars, but when you're talking about a touring car such as this, and you live in a place like Southern California, why would you ever sacrifice the potential of an open-top experience to have the coupe? And on that note, I need to make a pit stop at one of my favorite places in this area, and I think you'll like it too. And here it is, Thousand Steps Beach. Why is it called Thousand Steps? Well, not 1,000 steps, but sure are a lot of them. Captain's log. Still descending, and look at my reward. Yeah, Southern California sure is expensive, but it might be worth it. I forgot about going back up. Before I conclude my impressions on this DB12 Volante, I need to put some fuel back in this 20.5 gallon tank. And the fuel economy is rated by the EPA at 14 mpg in the city, 22 on the highway, and 17 combined. Now, if I saw that 17 combined, then I'd have about 348 miles of range, but over the last 150 miles, I've really been seeing 12.1 miles per gallon. And at current fuel prices of $5.49 for 91 octane fuel, it's gonna cost me $113 to fill this tank. But is it capless fueling? It is. You know what I haven't done up until now is mention these rear seats, which will be perfect for legless passengers or Cargo. Well, crew, at the beginning of this video, I pondered if and how the convertible version of a Grand Touring car was better than a coupe. And after a good amount of time behind the wheel, driving fast, driving slow, top up and top down, I know without a doubt that the drop top is the dream play. However, that doesn't mean this DB12 Volante is a perfect daily driver. The firm for a GT ride, poor visibility, small trunk, and lack of several convenience features for its hefty $339,000 price tag aren't deal breakers, but they are worthy of consideration. Juxtapose that with a set of ultra comfy seats, stunning looks, especially in the right color combination, abundant power, a quiet cabin, and on-demand vitamin D. Yeah, I would not kick this DB12 Volante out of my own driveway. I hope you guys have enjoyed this POV day in the life, and I will see you again next time.